I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story that led to an epiphany for me, and it really making me change the way I see things. For one, let me preface this by grabbing my radio, because this is gonna. Alright. About 20 years ago, me and a group of friends, Devon and Ronnie, if we're naming names, came up with something we called the War. What would happen is we would all get together and we would play the wrestling game together. You know, sometimes it was once a week, sometimes it was twice a week. Now, keep in mind, this was before online was a thing. It was create your character, you know, put your character on a memory card on PS2, and then import them over. Or you could come and you could work on your character at whose ever house we were playing at. So sometimes your character wasn't up to date. And what would happen is there was a set of rules that we would play by. Off the top of my head was never end the match unless you use a finisher. Leverage pins were okay because it was a leverage pin. But in a match where it was a triple threat match for a title, only the champion could get pinned. Like, you could pin the other guy and you would win the match, but not the title, despite the fact that wrestling, the actual wrestling, says otherwise. And these were always rules that were set in place to be fair. You know, we wanted everybody to feel like they were getting an honest shake. And I didn't have a problem with being the guy who lost most of the time. You know, I was just there for the camaraderie. You know, I was there to have a good time. And we did. We had a fantastic time as we played. And it's been years now. Like, I got here in early 2009. I haven't had the war with them since then. I mean, despite the fact that, you know, we've had compatible systems and online was an option, but there's so much lag online. Oh, excuse me. I can never get around to just trying online. You know, it's just our schedules conflict, and I didn't like the way it handled, so we just don't anymore. And it's, you know, it's not a big deal. But now, in 2017, I have my wife, and I've been slowly kind of coaching her on how to play, and she's good now. Like, she's real good. And I find myself trying to inflict these rules on her because of the war. Like, things have changed quite a bit since the times that we played. Like, now there's a limited amount of reversals. Now, like, things are just different. Yeah, but the rules have always kind of been the same. Don't hit a if you don't hit a finisher, don't pin. You know, that kind of thing. But I find that a lot of the rules that we have in place now are really to hinder her. Like, I'm thinking about it, like, we used to play, there's an option where you can turn the reversals on or off, so it's not really a thing. I think it adds a personal dynamic to the game, and it adds character to each of the wrestlers, you know, because not everybody can reverse everything. You know, and that is a level of realism to me that I come to expect when I play. So I'm not going to count that one, but when she's getting in and out of the ring, I personally back up to allow her in, but that's not always reciprocated. And I used to, in the back of my mind, go, well, damn, why is she being so shady? Why is she being so cheap? But she's not. She's not. These rules are put in place almost as a hindrance. And I didn't realize that until I sat down and really got to thinking about the war on the eve of being able to play online with some of our friends. And it occurred to me that Devon and Ronnie had all of these rules in place to make it easier for them to win. Like, sure, I could, I would not go for a pin if I didn't do a finisher. That's fine. But if I had the match clearly won, and like I would pin the guy, and he'd be like, "Oh look, I'm back to my feet. You gotta let him up." Like, no, I don't, because you're not there. Like, if you could break it up, you would have broken it up, but you couldn't, so you didn't. So I won, and I was told that I was cheap. I was told that I wasn't playing within the rules. I was told that it was taking a cheap shot, and I believed them, because it was like, man, I guess I didn't really follow the rules. But now I look at it, those rules were put in place to stifle me. Like, I don't mean it in like this horrible way, like my friends were just out to get me the entire time. That's not what I'm saying at all. But they recognized that I was better than them. So restrictions were put into place to limit how good I was. And I realized that I've tried to inflict those on my wife, not to limit her, but because that's just the way I felt the game should be played. Like, these were the rules established by the war. This is how we should be doing it. But those rules were set in place all those years ago to make it easier for them. Not to make it fair. It's just, I was just too good. So now that my wife has gotten to a point where it's a coin toss is what I was going for. It's a coin toss now as to who's going to win and who's going to lose. So does it used to be this foregone conclusion that, I'll get her, or, I'll let her up here and there for competition's sake. But now, she's just good. She's just good. Like, there's no arguing. There's no getting around it. So all of a sudden I find myself trying to fall back on these rules. It's like I get back in the ring and then she attacks me. It's like, whoa, that's not the rule. But that's ridiculous. Like, I have the opportunity to reverse it. The idea that all these limitations are here, we're going to have to get away from that. And in that regard, I feel like I owe my wife an apology. I'm not going to limit her or stifle her like that anymore because she's just good. Now we should be able to go all out, full fucking throttle. Let's do it. She's good. It's time to take off the training wheels, and it's time to go. And I think she'll be better because of it. Shit, now I'm hyped. Now I just want to go home and play this damn game.